Trinamool Congress MP Mahua Moitra has in a statement on X questioned the veracity of businessman Darshan Hiranandani's explosive affidavit. Now, Darshan Hiranandani had turned a prover in the cash for query case, and he said in his affidavit that Mahua Moitra had asked questions on Adani to target the Prime Minister and in exchange for questions received expensive gifts from Hiranandani. Now, responding to this, Mahua Moitra said, and I quote, Darshan Hiranandani has not been summoned by the CBI or the Ethics Committee or indeed by any investigative agency yet. Who then has he given the affidavit to? Now, questioning if it was indeed an affidavit from the businessman, Moitra pointed out that it was neither an official letterhead or notarized, and it was not posted on social media by him. She says that it was instead leaked selectively to the media. My colleague Saurabh with the details.
Mahua Moitra has hit back at that, statement from Darshan Hiranandani, claiming that it could have been done under duress, and also saying that look, there's no, there's no letterhead, it's not been notarized, thereby questioning the veracity of that statement. So obviously, this is something that she's also pointed out, that the statement has been leaked to the press. However, the background of the case is simple. She's been accused of bribes for queries, and she has denied those allegations, saying that this was an attempt to silence her. But beyond that, the statement is something that gave weight to the allegations that had been made initially by BJP MP Nishikant Dubey, based on an affidavit by a lawyer whom Mahua claims was someone who had an axe to grind with her. But apart from that, this is something that Mahua Moitra has not, come out and, given a TV soundbite. She's not been responding to any messages for TV soundbites. But she's put out this statement on the social media platform X, questioning the veracity of that statement/affidavit that, seems to add weight to the allegations that have been made against her. She questions it, saying it could have been made under duress, also goes on to say that it's not been notarized, that he's probably been made to sign on white paper, and it has been selectively leaked to the press, thereby saying that, obviously this is being done at someone else's behest. So the allegations, like we said, are very serious. It's being probed by a parliament committee, and also Mahua Moitra has welcomed any kind of inquiry.
Now, according to businessman Hiranandani's affidavit, the people who helped Mahua Moitra, Rahul Gandhi, who's a Congress MP, Shashi Tharoor, Congress MP, Pinaki Mishra, BJD MP, Sucheta Dalal, who's a journalist, Shardul Shroff, who's an advocate, and Pallavi Shroff, who's an advocate as well. My colleague Maria brings us the details.
Darshan Hiranandani, in his own affidavit, has talked about a larger conspiracy as to why Mahua Moitra was constantly raising questions on Gautam Adani. Questions which find mention also in the Hindenburg report. He also says very clearly that Mahua Moitra gave him her login ID and email ID of the Lok Sabha, and he posted questions targeting the Adani Group from her ID. Let me read certain paragraphs which talk about the larger conspiracy. So the target was Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and the link was through Gautam Adani. What Darshan Hiranandani is saying is, she thought that the only way to attack Shri Modi is by attacking Shri Gautam Adani and his group, as both were contemporaries. He goes on to say that they belong to the same state of Gujarat. She was helped by the fact that the rise of Shri Gautam Adani had created jealousy and detractors among some sections of businesses, politics and media, both within and outside the country. Darshan Hiranandani also says, so she expected support from these sections in her endeavor to malign and embarrass the Prime Minister by targeting Shri Gautam Adani. He also says that based on this information, Ms. Moitra drafted a few questions that would have elements to embarrass the government by targeting the Adani Group. Darshan Hiranandani is saying in his affidavit that she shared with me her email ID as member of parliament so I could send her information. Remember, this is a subject of the ethics committee of parliament, something that has been raised by the BJP MP Nishikant Dubey, which has been part of the affidavit which has been filed by Jay Dehadri as well. He is saying very clearly of the larger conspiracy that there were several of those who were involved in it. There were several businesses, there were several media houses, and all of them providing information which he says were unverified information relating to Gautam Adani and his companies. He has gone on to say that Mahua Moitra had regular interactions with Congress leaders, including Rahul Gandhi, on matters relating to Adani companies. She also had frequent interactions with international journalists like the Financial Times, the New York Times, the BBC, and also all of them received unverified details from several sources. She got them, that is what he says. She received unverified details from several sources, including some claiming to be former Adani Group employees. This certainly is an explosive affidavit which has been filed by Darshan Hiranandani, giving a new twist in this entire Mahua Moitra cash for questions saga. He has said it very clearly that her taste was expensive, and that in order to continue to have that equation with her, he gave her expensive luxury items, provided support on renovation of her officially allotted bungalow in Delhi, travel expenses as well. So the quid pro quo has been established as well. But the larger question is, who are these people? The larger nexus, if it is established through this letter of against Gautam Adani by Darshan Hiranandani, then isn't it a time now certainly for the investigative agencies to get into it?
दर्शन हीरानंदानी के इस लेटर के बाद, इस एफिडेविट के बाद, सबसे पहले मुझे लगता है कि महुआ मोइत्रा के खिलाफ आपराधिक मामला दर्ज होना चाहिए। ये क्रिमिनल ऑफेंस है, और जिस चीज को लेकर वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में गई हैं, यानी उन्होंने डेफेमेशन का केस दाखिल किया है, सर्वोच्च न्यायालय उस पर किस तरह से रिएक्ट करेगा उसकी भी प्रतीक्षा हम लोग करेंगे। भारतीय राजनीति के इतिहास में एक कैश फॉर क्वेरी पहले भी हुआ, लेकिन इस तरह से भारत की रेपुटेशन, जो इंडियन इकोनॉमी, उसको डिरेल करना और एक उद्योगपति पर हमला सिर्फ इसलिए करना कि देश के प्रधानमंत्री पर हमला करने के लिए और कोई वजह नहीं मिल रही है, ये बहुत बड़ा मसला है।
Considering today's, that 19th October's this affidavit which has been sent by Mr. Hiranandani, that is very, very clear, and it speaks a lot about what was happening throughout. And as we know that Article 194 and 105 of the Constitution of India, it ensures that whoever argues or makes any sort of statement in the parliament, that has to be completely free from any sort of pressure or any sort of corruption in it. It should be very much clean and clear, and it should be in the interest of the people of this country. So now whatever has been spoken, I think even the speaker can take cognizance of this issue and can initiate disciplinary action as well.
If you really look at it, in the last 9 years, how many real on the policy matter any of these MPs or the opposition leaders were able to attack on Narendra Modi? They were not able to. As you said rightly, that they were looking for a route to reach Narendra Modi, and which, of course, the two people have born in the same state, so you take that route. Or they are contemporaries maybe by age or whatever it may be, you take that route. I think this is a national shame. When you say that she is an MP member of parliament, I feel really sad that yes, this is the kind of people who say that they are educated. I will be very happy to have people who don't even know read to write. Yeah, it's okay. But at least not the people like them to be representing my country in the my country or my people. I think this is really, really shocking. The only bottom line is that how politically the opposition leaders, not only Mahua, this is not going to stop at Mahua Moitra.
Big conspiracy, and because some foreign entities also, foreign institution also, they have targeted the Indian industrialists, and this woman, that is the MP, Mahua Moitra, may be the part of the bigger conspiracy. So obviously it should be investigated and investigated thoroughly and properly, because it is not only related to the Adani Group, it is a target-oriented attack on the Indian economy. Due to the decrease in the share prices of the Adani Group, lots of people they have faced their losses. They lose their money. They lost their money, and that's why it is not a single thing. I think it is a part of the bigger conspiracy, and it should be investigated thoroughly so that international linkage may come out in future in this regard.
I have no authority to speak on behalf of TMC. Number one, I can only answer your queries as a practicing criminal lawyer, because probably I have some experience with regard to making of such accusations, the substance in the accusations and what happens and how, to what extent there is truth in it, etc. First and foremost, for your viewers, all of us must remember that as far as this story is concerned of allegation against Mahua for taking gifts, etc. from A, B, C, whosoever it be, is under examination by the Parliamentary Committee on Ethics. And therefore, best course is that you have any material, instead of giving it to media, you should better give it to that committee, which is a proper authority investigating the story. But then this is, I think, ill-motivated to publicize, defame somebody, rush to media and say, file an affidavit. Now, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani must also remember that if he is trying to suggest that he has bribed the MP to do something which the MP is not supposed to do, then the bribe giver is also equally liable for criminal action.
Now, Canada has said that it has withdrawn 41 diplomats from India. This is a fallout from a bitter row over the killing of a Sikh terrorist on Canadian soil. Now, Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly said India planned to revoke diplomatic immunity for all but 21 of Canada's diplomats and their families by today. Now, this forced Canada to pull out the others, is what she said. Canada calls for the revoking of diplomatic immunity a violation of international law and says that it will not reciprocate this move. Relations between India and Canada have plunged since Prime Minister Justin Trudeau last month publicly linked Indian intelligence to the killing of Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh Nijjar, which India has since then denied. My colleague Kadambni brings us the latest.
India has said, according to Vienna Convention, they can ask for parity, and that's what they have been asking for. India has accused Canadian diplomats here in India of interfering in internal matters of India, and that is the reason they have asked for parity, because India has only diplomats in Canada, and Canada has 3 times that number of diplomats here in India. So India has been saying that there should be parity as far as the number of diplomats are concerned, and it is in accordance with the Vienna Convention. That is what India can ask. India has never officially said they will be stripping the diplomats of diplomatic immunity, as claimed by Foreign Minister of Canada in this press conference, and even earlier there were reports in Canadian press that India has said that. Now, what Melanie Joly in her press conference has said on Thursday is that they are finally asking 41 diplomats to move from India, and apart from that, she has said that it will put a pause on in-person operations in Bangalore, Mumbai and Chandigarh consulates. There would be no in-person interviews there, but she has also assured that it will not affect the work of the missions here or about the council missions here. So this is currently the situation. There is no any reaction at the moment as far as this fresh statement of Melanie Joly is concerned.
We'll continue tracking these developments for you. For now, a short break. Welcome back. You're watching NDTV. I'm Arti Krishna. Let's take a look at the political developments that are coming in Rajasthan ahead of the elections. Now, political rumblings in Congress are clearly holding up the first list for Rajasthan. Despite deliberations by the Congress Election Committee, the names are not final yet. And the sticking point appears to be Gehlot loyalists who led the rebellion against Gehlot becoming Congress president in September last year. Today, Gehlot was at his enigmatic best as he went on record to say, forgive and forget and move on, and pointed out that he was not the spoke in the wheel when it came to Pilot loyalists being given tickets. Here's a report.
The Congress's first list on Rajasthan still caught in a tug-of-war. Despite single names suggested for 100+ candidates, there is no consensus on the list, and the Congress Election Committee will have to meet again. A sticking point appears to be tickets for Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot's loyalists, especially UDH Minister Shanti Dhariwal, who had in September last year gathered MLAs at his residence and led a rebellion against the High Command's wish that Mr. Gehlot go to Delhi as Congress President, handing over reins in Rajasthan to a leadership of the High Command's choosing. Sources say it was the party's way of bringing Pilot in to lead Rajasthan into elections 2023, with Gehlot overseeing from Delhi. But that was not to be, and the Congress High Command was left red-faced. Clearly, it is this tug-of-war that is still holding back the announcement of tickets. And in Delhi, at the AICC headquarters, Mr. Gehlot in damage control mode, going on record to say, forgive and forget.
हम सब एकजुट हैं जब उनके साथ लोग गए थे उनके टिकट सब क्लियर हो रहे हैं करीब करीब उससे बड़ा उदाहरण क्या मैं दे सकता हूं आपको एक टिकट पे भी मैंने ऑब्जर्वेशन नहीं किया हो मीटिंग के अंदर उससे अंदाज कर लीजिए कितनी प्रकार की हमारी कितनी प्यार मोहब्बत आपस के अंदर है मैं मुख्यमंत्री पद छोड़ना चाहता हूं पर ये पद मुझे नहीं छोड़ रहा है.
But will the olive branch be extended to his supporters as well who went against the High Command's wish is the question. And then another startling statement by Mr. Gehlot that Vasundhara Raje, who refused to topple his government on principle, should not be punished for it.
मेरे कारण उनको सजा नहीं मिलनी चाहिए. मेरे कारण उनको सजा नहीं मिलनी चाहिए. ये अन्याय होगा उनके साथ में.
The statement of friendship when there is sympathy for Raje as she is sidelined by the BJP, who have refused to make her the CM face in Rajasthan, is bound to create political ripples. Ashok Gehlot's press conference in Delhi, a political masterstroke by a seasoned politician. First, Ashok Gehlot went on record to say he is not the spoke in the wheel as far as pilots, loyalists getting tickets is concerned. But at the same time, he is also hoping the olive branch will be extended to him and his loyalists will also get their tickets. And then in the AICC headquarters, his statement on Vasundhara Raje is bound to raise political eyebrows. His statement that Raje actually did not be part of the conspiracy to topple his government comes at a time when Raje herself is not center stage in the BJP's power play in Rajasthan as they head into this election. In Jaipur, Harsha Kumari Singh, NDTV.
Now, Sachin Pilot also makes a pitch for peace and says that they've put the past behind them.
कुछ अनुभव भी है हम लोगों का काम करने का आपस में साथ साथ और सुनो जहाँ तक टिकटों की बात है जो भी घटनाक्रम पिछले वर्ष हुआ कुछ लोगों पे पार्टी अनुशासन के आरोप भी लगे थे उस पर कार्रवाई हुई नहीं हुई लेकिन जिन का भी प्रपोजल जो जीतने वाले उम्मीदवार थे उनका मैंने खुले मन से स्वागत किया चाहे वो सोनिया जी की अवमानना भी अगर किसी ने करी हो उस समय तो फिर भी हमें लगा पार्टी हित में जो है जीताऊ हो किसी एक भी कैंडिडेट को मैंने विरोध नहीं किया जो जीतने वाला उम्मीदवार था.
We'll continue tracking these developments for you. For now, we take a short break. Now, as Israel says it continues to attack Hamas targets in the Gaza Strip, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak visits Israel after US President Biden. Egypt, meanwhile, has agreed to open the Rafa crossing to allow humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza and West Bank after a deadly attack on a hospital that killed hundreds. Here's a report. Smoke rose
rose above buildings in northern Gaza as Israel continued to pound the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military released a new video which it says shows the latest airstrikes in Gaza. Israel said it struck infrastructure in the Gaza Strip and killed terror operatives. As an Israeli ground offensive in Gaza looms, hundreds of Israeli tanks were deployed near the Gaza border in South Israel, waiting for a clear signal from the military top brass. This comes as regional tensions rise following a deadly hospital blast. A silver lining on the dark Gaza horizon, Egypt finally allowed some trucks with relief material into Gaza from the Rafa crossing. Amid the ongoing war, top leaders have visited Israel in a strong show of solidarity. Just as Biden left, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak landed in Tel Aviv.
I'm here to express my solidarity with the Israeli people. You have suffered an unspeakable, horrific act of terrorism, and I want you to know that the United Kingdom and I stand with you.
Russia has sent 27 tons of humanitarian aid for civilians in the Gaza Strip to be transported from Egypt. US President Joe Biden also announced $100 million aid for Palestinians in both Gaza and West Bank.
This has been a very blunt negotiation I've had. And so we want to get as many of the trucks out as possible. There's, I guess, 150 or something there. Not all of them will go. The first tranche, if there's a second tranche, see how it goes. The commitment is, if in fact they cross the border, the UN is going to be on the other side.
While family members of the Israelis being held captive by Hamas expressed anger over the aid sent to Gaza, several pro-Palestine and pro-Israel protests were held in Arab and European cities. Bureau Report, NDTV.
After his day-long visit to Israel, Joe Biden draws up a storm back home. Biden's aid announcement for those in Gaza has not been received well by Republicans. Why send aid after the Hamas attack is what they ask. This comes after Biden in his speech said that the attack on the hospital in Gaza seems to be done by quote-unquote the other team.
Scenes from Capitol Hill, the US seat of power, as people demand a ceasefire in Gaza after the explosion at Al Ahli Hospital in Gaza, killing several hundred people, and for which Hamas blames Israel. Protests against Israel have been growing in other US cities as well, as President Joe Biden returned from his 7-hour visit to Israel, where he said this.
It was done by the other team, not you.
His comment has drawn criticism from many in the American media, who think it as an unsuitable statement in the midst of such a serious and fragile situation. Republicans are also raising questions about aid to Gaza and the West Bank after Hamas terror attack on the 7th of October, in which almost 1,300 Israeli civilians were killed.
31 Americans killed. We don't know how many Americans are hostages. And we got a president that wants to give money to Gazans? Give me a break. This is stupid.
Of course, questions about continued supply of weapons and aid to Ukraine persist. Moreover, the cancellation of a meeting with Jordan, Egypt and the Palestinian Authority leadership after the PA president pulled out due to Gaza hospital explosion seems to have exposed America's lack of influence in the Middle East. So for now, a peace policy now seems destined for cold storage once again. The only tangible result of Biden's visit to Israel is PM Netanyahu finally giving in to let some aid roll into Gaza via the Rafa crossing. In New Delhi, Kadambini Sharma for NDTV.
President Biden declared it is quote-unquote vital for America's national security for Israel and Ukraine to succeed in their wars, making the case for deepening U.S. involvement in a rare Oval Office address as he prepared to ask for billions of dollars in military assistance for both countries.
Hamas and Putin represent different threats, but they share this in common. They both want to completely annihilate a neighboring democracy, completely annihilate it. Hamas' stated purpose for existing is the destruction of the state of Israel and the murder of Jewish people. Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. Hamas uses Palestinian civilians as human shields, and innocent Palestinian families are suffering greatly because of them. I know these conflicts can seem far away, and it's natural to ask, why does this matter to America? So let me share with you why making sure Israel and Ukraine succeed is vital for America's national security. You know, history has taught us that when terrorists don't pay a price for their terror, when dictators don't pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos and death and more destruction. They keep going, and the cost and the threats to America and the world keep rising.
While the UK and US have been trying to garner support for Israel, support pours in for Gaza from Arab nations. Arab nations have long since fought for the right of Palestinians. Now, amid the latest escalation, Arab nations rally their support. Mohammad Ghazali explains.
Since this war has broke out between Israel and Hamas, we have also observed widespread protest in the Arab world. People have taken to streets in Lebanon, in Iran, in Iraq, and different other countries in the Arab world to protest against Israel's attack on Gaza Strip. Different Arab countries have also issued statements of condemnation, be it the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates. They have all condemned Israel's brutal attack on Gaza Strip. Now we'll try to break it down to understand that how Palestine has somewhere galvanized the entire Arab world, and it has got a brief history. For Palestinians and Arabs, the war didn't begin on the morning of October 7 with Hamas's attack on Israel. Rather, it's been ongoing since 1948 when militias expelled Palestinians from their homes and killed tens of thousands in what is called Nakba or catastrophe. Now, Palestinian occupation has also been a festering wound for Arabs. Repeated wars with Israel, be it 1948, 1967, 1973, and loss of land has been a festering wound on the Arab people. Through the 1950s and the 60s, the heydays of Arab nationalism, Palestine was the central Arab cause which catapulted many Arab leaders to power. Now, public support for Palestine has been across the world, and people have come out many a times in the past to support Palestinian cause. But peace with Israel has come at a cost. In 1951, Jordanian king was assassinated, and he was assassinated because he was seen to be somebody who was being soft on Israel. In 1981, Egypt's President Anwar Sadat was assassinated because 3 years earlier in 1978, he has struck a peace deal with intervention of the United States. In 2020, the US President Donald Trump has struck a big peace deal between Israel and the Arab world with Abraham Accords, in which UAE, Morocco and Bahrain, they all joined hands with Israel, they signed peace treaties with Israel. But even then, it was told and multiple surveys suggested that all these countries are monarchies and the people were not in support of joining hands with Israel, but that was sidestepped. And today, when Hamas attack over Israel and Israel's retaliation on Gaza Strip has been reported, people have come out showing the fault lines of the entire Abraham Accords, that how these rulers, these kings and the kingdoms ignored public sentiments and joined hands with Israel. Now, after this attack, perhaps the biggest reason is that people have come out, and it has always been seen in the past that how Arab kings or the presidents or the rulers in the Arab world could not afford to ignore the public anger. Now we'll have to see whether this public anger stays or it is just a minor eruption or it continues till the war goes on.
The fatal hospital blast in Gaza has led to Egypt agreeing to open the Rafa crossing to transport aid to the injured Palestinians. Now, why was Egypt reluctant to open the Rafa crossing in the first place, and what is the history behind it?
Since this war has broke out, Israel issued a warning asking the residents of Gaza Strip to move from northern part towards the southern part. Now, the southern part is the Rafa border crossing, which is a border with the Egypt. But Egypt has been very reluctant to open the borders despite assurances from US as well as Israel. And there has been multiple flip-flops in the last 3-4 days over the opening of the Rafah border as well as the terms and conditions as of who will be allowed to cross from Rafah border if it opens up. But we will try to break down that why Egypt has shown such a reluctance to open the Rafah border crossing. The first major reason is that Egypt doesn't want itself to be embroiled in this entire Israel versus Hamas war. Egypt doesn't want that all those who are staying in Gaza Strip should move into Egyptian territory and later it will get embroiled into Israel versus Hamas war, because Egypt feels that Israel will find an excuse to attack on its territory once the Gaza residents move into Egyptian territory. The second major reason is that Egypt doesn't want to be seen as a reason or as a contributor towards the displacement of Gaza residents. And this has got a historical perspective. In every war since 1948, the Arabs who got displaced at the time of the war were often assured that once the war gets over, you will be allowed to get in. But what happened that during every war, all those who left the Israeli-Palestinian territory were not allowed to get inside. And they became permanent refugees in the states like Lebanon and Syria as well as Egypt. But this time around, Egypt doesn't want to get into that situation. Now, once the negotiations were on to open the Rafah border crossing, Egypt said that it will only allow foreign nationals. That was the larger agreed upon point between Egypt, Israel and US. Now, Egypt wants that more aid should get in Gaza and less refugees should come out. But this is exactly what the opposite Israel wants. Israel is actually looking for more residents of Gaza to move into Egypt and less humanitarian aid to get in. Now, Egypt is also saying, one of the other reasons which Egyptians official sources are saying is that Israel has dropped multiple bombs on the Rafah border crossing, making it inaccessible, making it inoperational, and it will not be safe to allow either people or the relief material to move into Gaza through Rafah border crossing. Now, despite assurances from US President Joe Biden, even today, the Rafah border crossing has not been opened. And all the relief material collected from across the world which has landed in Egypt is parked near the Rafah border crossing. Meanwhile, the foreign nationals or those having international passport or citizens of other countries and Palestinian Americans and Palestinians with other nationalities are stuck near the Rafah border crossing because they don't know that who all will be allowed to leave Gaza and move towards Egypt. Now, these are the certain situations for which Egypt was very reluctant to open the Rafah border.
While there is a delay in the arrival of cold, but pollution is causing havoc ahead of time. Usually Delhi is in the headlines for pollution, but the condition in Mumbai is worsening. Mumbai has broken Delhi's record in terms of pollution.
A dark and hazy sky in October, a skyline that people in Mumbai are witnessing for the second year in a row. It's usually Delhi that grabs the top spot as the most polluted city in the country. But data shows how Mumbai's air quality is worse than Delhi for many days. Mumbai's air has already seen toxic levels for 14 days in October. The suburbs of Andheri, Mazgaon and Navi Mumbai are particularly bad. The AQI level is above 300 in these areas, which indicates very poor air quality. According to Suffer India, Mumbai's AQI this morning was at 166, while that of Delhi was 117. The PM10 level in Mumbai is at 143 and Delhi at 122. Maharashtra government says construction mess due to ongoing projects is responsible.
तर मुंबईमध्ये असलेलं पोल्युशन हे केमिकल पोल्युशन नाही आहे. इट इज मोस्टली जे धुलीकण असतात त्याचं पोल्युशन आहे आणि त्याच्यामुळे ते कशा रीतीने कंट्रोल करायचं आता आम्ही हे करतोय. ठाण्याला आता फॉगिंग गन्स बसवलेले आहेत. मुंबईला तशा बसवता येईल का किंवा त्याला दुसरा इलाज असतो की त्याला मशीन्स मिळतात जे ॲब्झॉर्ब करून घेतात धुलीकण. तसं करता येईल का? सगळे ऑप्शन्स आपल्याला बघून घ्यायला लागेल.
IMD says that scanty rainfall and increased traffic are also adding to the air pollution.
मॉर्निंग टाइम में और 2 दिन काम विंड होने के कारण थोड़ा सा जो हमारा AQI इंडेक्स है वो पुअर कैटेगरी में गया था. BMC has set up one committee to look into how we can stop all such type of AQI जो पोल्यूशन बढ़ रहा है उसको स्टॉप करने के लिए क्या क्या बहुत सारे प्रस्ताव भी आए हैं.
The BMC has started the process of acquiring 30 anti-smog guns. These devices are proposed to be used to tackle the problem of air pollution, especially in winter. In Mumbai with Pooja Bharadwaj and Praveen G. Rohit, Usama Shab for NDTV.